Okay, so yeah, it continues. Yeah, it's going absolutely ballistic outside. The wind has seriously picked up. It's quite scary, to be very honest. But anyway, um, the work must continue. Let's make it happen. Yeah, please, boys and girls, subscribe, share, like the videos, comment, and yeah, I need those hours. So please let them run. Let these videos run in the background. It doesn't cost you anything. It will mean a lot to me. So we've done 4 videos, tutorials in this series, working on 4 game reserves in the Mpumalanga area. Not going to go for all the things that we've done. Just to say, in the last video, we spent some time on the normalized difference vegetation index. And we generated the NDVI image for each of our reserves for 4 different periods, and we also created a time series chart for each of these reserves. And yeah, obviously NDVI is important from an ecological point of view in terms of capacity to carry carbon, all sorts of things. There's lots of reasons why I wanted to look at the NDVI of these 4 reserves. So yeah, so that is that. Now, obviously what follows next is to look at the climate of these 4 reserves. Obviously they are in close proximity to one another, so we wouldn't assume, or we would assume that the climate will be climatical characteristics or attributes will be fairly similar. You're not going to have the one with maximum temperatures in the 40s and the other one in the 20s. They're going to be very close to one another. So yeah, and that's obviously important because is it getting wetter, is it getting warmer? Now that's obviously very important from a touristy point of view, from an income point of view, potentially from a cost point of view in terms of climate mitigation, all sorts of things. Anyway, there's a host of reasons why I wanted to look at that. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, so I'm already on Earth Engine. Okay, so we start with our normal process. You should know this by now. We've got our 4 reserves that I brought in as assets, and we map them and we center our map. So in this case, again, an average somewhere here in the middle, so I don't zoom into each one. Now, in this case, again, with the climate one, I'm not doing a looping function because it's just too much. I rather prefer in this case to do them individually. Now, you can do a loop function. There's nothing prohibit or nothing that says you cannot do a loop function. But in my case, I thought I'm going to do it in singular, region of interest by region of interest, or reserve by reserve. Should have I included a looping function? Thinking about it, yeah, most probably I should have done a looping function. Most probably I should have included a loop function. It's not too much of it's the same data set. It's not different data sets. Yeah, I should have most probably done a loop function. Okay, I will update this by including a loop function. I will generate a loop function to include in here. So next time this will be a loop function. Okay, I should have done a loop function. I'm also thinking that I should have done a before and after rather than just a median image, because this is a median image. I mean, this is quite a long period, 1960 to 2022. That's quite a long period. Anyway, food for thought, as they say. We can play around with this, etc., etc. Could have, yeah. Anyway, let's continue as is. Okay, so in this case, I'm again using Loskop Dam. You should now know this is the Loskop Dam reserve, and I'm using just this for simplicity. Nothing. There's no particular reason why I'm using this and not one of the other 3. It's just I like just using this one. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I assume. Okay, so we generate our clipping function, and then I'm using the IDA EPSO Terra Climate data set. So let's quickly go and have a look at the data set itself. Now, this is a very, very nice data set, and I'm quite sad that the data set is not ongoing, or doesn't seem to be ongoing. In fact, just to make sure of that. But if I go into the data set itself, let's quickly go into the data set itself. If I go into the data set, I think the internet is slow because of all this weather. I don't want to speculate, but we must have had already about 20 millimeters of rain. And they say it's going to keep until about 3 o'clock. It's now 1 o'clock for another 2 or 3 hours. So this is going to fill up the dams. And also it's our planting season here in the West Coast. So the farmers most probably are extremely happy of the rain after 6 months of no rain, dry. This is going to be very good. Okay, sorry, I'm distracting. Okay, so let's quickly click on it just to show what. Yeah, it's okay. It's 24/12. Okay, so they've updated. It's 1958 to 24/12. So that's good, because last time I checked, it was only up to, what was it? Up to 2022. So I can make that 25. 25. I've also recently just like not going the 30th and the 31st, but making it the first of the months following the last month of the data. So let's quickly, it's not going to make too much of an issue as well, but let's quickly run it. We see it centers around the 4. It doesn't go into any specific. Anyway, so let's quickly go and have a look and see. This is our data set. As I said, this is a very, very nice data set. It's a bit sad that it's that low spatial resolution. I mean, this would have been fantastic if we had a lower spatial resolution, but also understanding that, temperature is not, doesn't require a high spatial resolution. You can go low because, I mean, if it rains here, it must probably rain 20 meters or 30 meters further. Rain is maybe not a good example because you do have very localized raining, maybe heat and stuff like that. So I assume the low spatial resolution is not too much of an issue. 1 month, that's perfect. And this is all the bands that's in here. As I said, it's a very, very nice data set here, and it's really something that I can recommend. So evaporation, climate water deficit, Palmer drought severity index, minimum maximum vapor, wind speed, etc., etc. Now there's the band names, the abbreviations that you're going to use within the code to generate that specific characteristic or attribute. But as I said, important, remember the scale factors. That's another reason why you should always look at the description within the source of each data set, is to look at the scales, because you have to make sure. Otherwise, for example, you're going to get maximum temperature of 400 degrees. Now that's impossible. I mean, minus 670 to 570 Fahrenheit, but not degrees. So this is actually minus 67 plus 57. Not, because you have to adapt it with the scale. So always please take the scale factor into account. You have to adjust for that scale factor. Okay, you have to adjust for that scale factor. Okay, now just to show you. Okay, so we've got our image collection. We've got our data set. So here we're gonna, we select our band sets, and then we're gonna select a medium image for that period. So that would be medium is in the middle, 1960 to 2025. So that's gonna be, what's it, 1995, middle of 1995. So the image will be somewhere in the middle there. Now you can take the average, you can take the sum, you can take the minimum, you can take the maximum. There's a number of reducers that you include, but I said my favorite is the medium. I used to be a big mean fan, but But now I genuinely like the median. Now, not always, but I do like the median image. Yeah, and obviously you can amend it to Fahrenheit or what kilograms or whatever the case might be. That's totally up to you. I see I didn't do the scaling factor. Why did I not do the scaling factor? Another issue that I've forgotten to do. I should have included the scaling factor. I should have included the scaling factor. Yeah, I should have included the scaling factor where we selected, meaning multiplied by 0.0. So PR. I think precipitation is the only one that's fine. There's no scaling factor there. Maximum 0.1. So we're going to have to multiply it by 0.1. Let's see if I can just put it in here. Dot multiply 0.01. Let's see if it's gonna work, if it's gonna give me an error. No, I'll have to do a proper scaling. I can't just do that. Nope. I'll have to do a proper scaling function here where we include the scaling. I'll do that as well. We will do the scaling of here. Normally you can just put a multiply or divide or something to that effect, but in this case it does not, because it's not a singular image, it's a whole lot of image. I wonder if I can't do it here. Let's see if I can't do it here, because there's a number of images here, né? Not a single, because I haven't reduced it. So let's see if I can do it here. Dot multiply 0.01. Let's see if I can run it. Yep, there we go. So that's the reason why I can't. You see there, we haven't scaled it. You see, minimum temperatures, maximum temperatures, we haven't scaled it. But if I go into the, okay, so what I need to do, so if I go into the inspector and I click on this little, because remember we're doing it for Loskop Dam, it should give you a maximum temperature. So let me just quickly show you. It should give you a maximum temperature, median maxi temperature of 2.8. No, that doesn't make sense at all. Median maximum temperature 2.8. You see, minimum doesn't make sense at all as well. Is it 0.1? What is your value there? Is it 0.1 or 0.01? 0.1. Hey, that's why I say 0.1. So let's just quickly take that off. Copy and cut and run it. And then if I do the inspector, you'll see that it will be a value in the hundreds and not in the tens. Now that should not make sense to you at all. You see, maximum temperature 291 degrees. We'll all be dead. We'll all be well done, eh? How do you like your steak? Well done. So we need to amend it. So we're going to multiply that by 0.1. Minimum is also 0.1 if I'm correct. Let's quickly have a look. 0.1, 0.1. Wind speed is 0.01. Wind speed is 0.01. And then soil. What is soil? Soil is also 0.1. Also 0.1. There we go. And then I'm just going to add multiply just for consistency. There's no scaling factor, so I'm just making multiply 1 because I can. If I run it now, then these values should be cool beans. Okay, our time series is still unscaled, but if I click now, in the inspector, I click there, all of these values will be in the right format. Participation 30 millimeters, 28 degrees, wind speed 2.2 meters per second, soil is 3.1, and minimum temperature, okay, whatever, it's going to come up now sometime. That's good. Median multiply, yep, there's nothing wrong with that. Not sure why it's struggling to get to the correct number. But yeah, so that's why it's important to do the scaling. Okay, so I've just added the scaling, and I said you can't do the scaling here simply because there's a minimum now 12.3. Can't do the scaling. Remember, that's now for the entire period, ne? That's now from this period, medium A, medium, median variables. For the entire. So as I said, that would be middle of the year, so maybe June 1995, thereabout. That image would be, because it's a median image, so it's not an average of them all. It's the image that's right in the smack in the middle. That's what medium is, ne? So yeah. So there we select the variables, the bands, and then we scale them and we calculate the median. So we can only scale it when we have a singular image, our median image. And obviously now we need to adjust our visualization parameters. PR is still the same. PR is still the same. Temperatures, medium temperatures, median wind speed. Let's leave it like that. And soil was going to be 2 zeros. No, also 0. Let's leave it like that. Let's run it again. So yeah, because we've scaled it wind speed, we'll leave it there. Although I think that one is way too big, so let's make it 5. That one soil, I think that's going to be way too much as well, but let's leave it as well. Okay, anyway. And there's the names of it. There's the color schemes, only 3-tone. And then we're going to export it. Why is it median? Median. Region, median, scale. Check the scale. Yeah, 5,000. That's your scaling factor. 4,683. Or we just leave it 500. Oh yeah, that's just to create the chart. That's to create the chart. So median chart. So we use the median or the mean. Okay, let's leave it as is. Will it make a difference? We'll see now. We'll start, run through. That will now go to 92,004. Nothing to that. Create and print the time series. Export the scale. Make sure that's our export function. Nothing to that. That's maximum. There's nothing to that. Okay, so let's quickly run it again. There's a couple of changes that I've decided to do within the script, but nothing to it. So what we're going to have now, we're going to have a medium image that we can export for our reserve. So in this case, Loskop Dam. So there's a medium participation. There's a medium maximum temperature, a medium minimum temperature, medium wind speed, and a medium soil moisture image. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images for my specific reserve. So in total, there's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 images for all 4 reserves. So there's a medium image. So that gives you a distribution of the variable within the median distribution of our characteristic or attribute for each of the reserves. So meaning where's the coldest, where's the hottest, where's the wettest, where's the driest, etc., for each of these reserves at a particular point in time, which is 1995, wherever the case might be. And then we've created a time series chart for each of those variables for the reserves. And obviously we can export these. Now again, we can create a CSV file here. So rather than export these ones individually, we can create a CSV file and where all these things can do. But as I said, it's just simple. You just click on the expansion and there we go. Now this is participation, meaning rain. Precipitation, meaning rain from 1960 to 24. It doesn't look... Can't see any major trends. Can't see any major changes over this number of years. There's December. Looks fine. Can't see any major issues with it. So rain seems to be fairly constant. No trend changes, it seems. Yeah. Let's have a look at maximum temperatures. There's some. Can see something happening there. There seems to be constant trend till about 2000. And then there seems to be some sort of increase in trend. Also, yeah, there seems to definitely be a bit of an increase. Nothing 2 or 3 degrees from 2000 to 2005. But it's difficult because there's a lot of noise in these ones, because we have, 56 to, we have 30, we have 50 years times 12, 500, 600 odd observations, and to squash them into such a little space is difficult because there's seasonal factors, there's all sorts of things. So ideally we should export this into Excel and do some work in Excel and or in RStudio, which is also a favorite of mine, RStudio, where we can do lots of more work to find out the trends, the changes, and all of these sort of things. But for now, I'm sticking with what we have. That's the maximum temperatures, minimum temperatures, similar sort of trend. Also a bit of the minimum temperatures of increasing, and the minimum temperatures also. And then wind speed seems fine, and soil moisture. There's our soil moisture. Seems also fine, nothing to it. There's quite a long period of drought there. 10 years of drought there, but it's fairly, yeah, the frequency seems to be okay. Just the length of the frequency or the intensity of the frequency that changes a little bit. Cool. Obviously, so that's our time series, so that's obviously important. But as I said, this is a median value for the entire area. So all of these areas, and then I've got my images, which is a median image. So if I go into my presentation, let's go and have a look. So I'm going to go to Loskop Dam. So this is, as you see, I haven't seasonally adjusted the images. I should have before I brought it in here. But yeah, I can do that now. But there you can see on the northeastern side is the warmer, and the southwestern side is the cooler temperatures. Not by much. 26 to 29, about 3 degrees difference from the north to the south, northwest to northeast to the southwest, from this area to this area. So this obviously is much more to the tropics. This more towards inland, colder. We can obviously look at height and all these things to see how this affects, etc., etc. So interesting. Let's quickly go and have a look and see height. You can see this is lower, this is higher. So higher we would assume would be colder, and lower we would assume would be warmer. Is that a correct assumption to make? And then there's our time series, and I just added a 12-month moving average just to get a little bit of the noise out of the system. I think it's a 12-month moving average, yeah. And I've adjusted it, scaled it. Yeah, I haven't scaled it, but that's why I brought in this little thingamajig to make sure that's adjusted. If you look at the seasonal average, you can see again there's definitely a little bit of an increase there, and then it's constant. So there's a little bit of a situation that happened there. 2000 to 2006 there, but there seems to be, and then there's a flat where that's coming down, and I don't know. That is again the warmer side, the cooler side, which corresponds to the maximum temperatures. Minimum temperature seems to be fine. There doesn't seem to be a major trend. 12-month moving average doesn't suggest a trend. Participation, that's the wetter side. This is the drier side, so the northeastern side, southwest, east, northeast, south, northwestern, southwestern side is the wetter side, the southwestern side, north southeastern side, and the southern side is the drier side. Sorry, get my directions. Northeast, so the northeast, southeast, southwest, west, northwest. So west, northwest, northeast, and then east, southeast, southwest. Okay, there's our precipitation. Moving average suggests a little bit of a decrease in average rainfall. There's 96, and 2000 seem to be the wettest periods, wettest years. Doesn't seem to be too much of a, we've selected 95, so that's the image here. So okay. Okay, soil moisture should obviously reflect what the rainfall is. Interesting this. And then wind speed, where's the windiest? This side and this side. Wind speed has stayed fairly flat at about 2 meters, just above 2 and a bit, 2.5 meters, between 2 and 2.5 meters. 2.5 meters per second. And that gives you a nice indication of, so from a climatic point of view, from a climate point of view, there doesn't seem to have been major changes, and variation in climatic attributes within its reserve is also fairly minimum. So from a climate point of view, there's been a consistency over time, and it's for fairly homogeneous. I mean, small marginal differences between the eastern side or western side or the north and south. There's some small margins, even if these reserves are quite large. There's small margins, not huge margins. So we can say these areas are fairly homogeneous in terms of the climate, and that climate has stayed fairly constant over time. Here there some variation, seasonal most probably, but no real changes in the trend and things like that. So that's also, I think, good news, that there's no issues around significant climate change, maybe seasonal climate change, but definitely not trend climate change. And therefore we can assume that vegetation will stay consistent, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. So obviously that minimizes the cost associated with so-called climate change and all these sort of things. Anyway, so yeah, that gives us a good, and obviously where it's the wettest, should also be where is the NDVI is the highest, which is this sort of areas here. You can see medium participation, although it's exactly the same. I mean, 38 to 40 millimeters. That's why I say it's basically homogeneous. So it's not the only thing that affects the NDVI, because height and mountains and type of soils and all these things, but it does give an indication. Okay, as I said, we can obviously build all of these things into our model, where we're going to identify samples. I think for now we've got 50 samples. I think that's going to be too little. How many samples? Let me just quickly have a look and see. 50 random samples. We may have to increase. You see, yeah, we just need to make sure that there's sufficient representation in each of those clusters. You see, there's a lot sitting around there, and very little around here. They are random, so that should be the case, but it doesn't seem spatially random. Anyway, okay, so yeah, so that's the climate of these 4 reserves, done in Earth Engine. I said I haven't created the looping function, but that can be done. And obviously I haven't created images, frequent images, only one medium image. But that image should be represented, because I've already shown in the time series that it hasn't changed too much. So that medium image should be representative of the entire area. There shouldn't be too much variation about it. So, so that solves, I think, that problem. The only thing that I can now add to this is maybe a bit of a looping function, and that's basically that. I've got the time series for each area, which, as I said, is representative. If you look at the images, the homogeneity of each image. So I could now obviously take this and do lots of other statistical work on it, time series statistical work on it, to figure out, for example, what's the trend? Has there been changes? What is the speed of change? Is it just seasonal? Is it trend? Whatever the case might be. Okay, so that's it for the climate of these 4 reserves. Sorry, let me just quickly get out of here. What did I do now? That's where's my climate? There's the 4 of them. Let's quickly just put them like this. There's the 4 of them. There's the maximum temperatures, the minimum temperatures, the precipitation, rain, soil moisture, and wind speed. Okay, so now we're up to, we've done quite a bit already. And as I said, basically, Google Earth Engine, all done. Was there anything else that I wanted to do? Yeah, nope, I think that's about it. Okay, so let's park this video here, and then we'll continue in another video where we're going to do a little bit of work on land cover, and we're going to specifically use the dynamic world data set, where we're going to look a little bit about our land cover using the dynamic world, which is always fascinating and interesting work. So we're going to play around a little bit with that in our next video. So something to look forward to. Okay, so let me park there. So again, please like, subscribe, share this video. Let the video run in the background. It costs you nothing, and it will mean the work. I need to get those hours up. So with that said, I'll see you on the other side.